Hello, moviegoers, and welcome to another episode of CritiCarter, the show where I turn you into a cinephile. This weekend I saw the new film, Snow White and the Huntsman, directed by Rupert Sanders, written by Evan Doherty, John Lee Hancock, and Hossein Amini, and starring Charlize Theron, Kristen Stewart, and Chris Hemsworth. I don't think there's anybody who's watching this who doesn't know Snow White, at least vaguely. You know, they've made the movie probably 5 times now at least. Twice this year alone, so I'd be willing to say everybody's aware of the evil queen and the poison apple and the dwarves, all that good stuff. It doesn't stray too far from the path. There were a few good things about this movie. Most notably, Chris Hemsworth. Not only does he manage a strong brogue for the better part of this film, thus establishing his character as vocally distinct from other roles that he's known for. For the first time that I've seen, the Huntsman type character in the Snow White fable is given a significant backstory and a good reason for doing things just beyond, oh, he's been paid to do this. A for effort there, whichever of the 3 screenwriters were responsible for that. Hemsworth is also the only of the 3 major characters in this film who understand levels. Maybe this was a directorial issue more so than the personal actor issue, but everybody else was kind of no. If you want me to take you seriously, you can't be going in this movie.
How's it go again?
And now, everything else. This movie clocks in over 2 hours long, and at least 15 to 30 minutes could be cut out easily. There's so much filler in this movie versus actual explaining things that would be important to the story. Example, you see the evil queen talking to the magic mirror, and in this film, there's a being that comes out of the mirror cloaked in liquid gold or something like that. But then her brother comes in, unbeknownst to her, that's the $10 word here on CritiCarter, and the camera switches to his point of view. It's just the queen, and it looks like she's talking to herself. So is there something coming out of the mirror? Is the queen insane? This might have been something good to address in the film, rather than just bringing it up and tossing it aside. Also, very early in the film, you got Snow White locked up in the tower, as Snow Whites are apt to do, because of the wicked queens and whatnot. She recites a version of the Lord's Prayer. Now I'm wondering, in this mysterious alternate universe that Snow White takes place in, where we have, dwarves and magic and all sorts of fantastical woodland creatures and things, where does real-world Christianity come into all that? Why is this character going, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, etc., etc. In a world where all those things exist, does religion still have a place? I don't know, maybe I'm getting too philosophical. Let's move on. There's a prologue for the, 2 people on the face of the earth that might see this movie that aren't familiar with Snow White. And this prologue is narrated by the Huntsman, which I think is pretty strange considering how queen-centric this film is. Especially because when they actually introduce the character of the Huntsman, he has no idea who Snow White is. So what sense does it make to have him in the beginning of the movie explaining the background of the story? The answer's none. Also, in this prologue, you have a young version of Snow White. Obviously, you can't have Kristen Stewart playing the young version of her character. But this young actress that they've cast to play Snow White has light brown hair and very pronounced freckles, neither of which are a problem independently. Just the fact that, as Kristen Stewart and, by extension Rupert Sanders depicts her, Snow White, when she comes of age, has jet black hair, milky white skin, the thing says, lips as red as blood, hair as black as night. There you go. While we're talking about Charlize, she's a terrific actress. This is the woman who won an Oscar a few years back for playing serial killer Eileen Wuornos. Yay, Florida for crazy lady serial killers. Game of Thrones is a big thing now. I don't know whether this is an intentional connection or not. Her character of the Queen in this movie and her brother have a very creepy Game of Thrones type relationship going on. It's just, ugh. The less screen time that the 2 of them had together, the better, in my opinion. And as much as I love Charlize, and I have the utmost respect for her, and the talent that she does possess, she's got some moments of You know, more than anybody else, really.
What does that mean?
It means she just goes way over the top. Like, here's the normal performance and where it should be, where it needs to be taken seriously, and she's up here somewhere.
That's the
This is the blah area. And this is the regular way to deliver lines.
You just took it to a whole nother level. That's what you just did.
And finally, one of my biggest problems with this movie, I'd say somewhere in the middle of the second act, when they finally get around to introducing the dwarves. You see, that's the thing about this movie. First of all, you wouldn't even know there were dwarves in it if you watched the trailers. It's called Snow White and the Huntsman because, you know, the first big chunk of the movie, just the Queen and Snow White. And then they finally get around to introducing the Huntsman. And then there's a huge chunk of movie that goes by. And then they finally get around to introducing the dwarves. The point that the dwarves get introduced is just the point in the movie where everything is just cast aside. It's just like, okay, here's a bunch of weird stuff going on that we're just gonna throw at you. And we're gonna go into like this little parallel dimension for a while and not really say anything about it. And then just as quickly as it came, it's over. What's going on? Really, guys, what's going on? There's also a very disturbing, and not to give anything away, there's a very disturbing, I guess you'd call it an allegory that they're trying to get across in terms of Snow White versus the Queen, and it made me very uncomfortable. It's not something that I wanted to see in the Snow White movie. Like, just dial it back a few notches, guy. All in all, Snow White and the Huntsman gets a 2.5 out of 5 full-size actors made small. Because again, the other Snow White movie this year, actual little people playing the dwarves. This movie took the Lord of the Rings route. This is a film that is a perfect example of what happens when Hollywood just runs rampant. You know, you give a guy who's never made a movie before a whole bunch of money and a screenplay that's been written through by 3 different people, and it just all falls apart. Once again, I must insist, we all go back and see Avengers over again. Last week's review of Men in Black 3, up over there. Next week, we will be returning to what hopefully will be a much better edition of Charlize Theron and her acting in Prometheus, the new film from Ridley Scott. I will have that review linked over there. Be sure to like and favorite this video if you enjoy watching it, and subscribe to my channel if you have not yet already. And please, let me know how much acting ability you think Kristen Stewart has. Because between this and the movie Runaways, I'm willing to give her a shot if we can all just collectively forget about Twilight. Fade to black.